hello, I mean, I'm like, what man doesn't understand what I'm saying? And that's where we get into a bigger, broader subject about what pissed me off about how pathetic this industry can be at times. Don't act like you don't agree with me. Don't act like you don't see, meaning you don't see what I'm saying. Don't act like I'm out of left field as a man.
So I assumed that Mayweather was in a similar spot because he made so much cash, and if you invested even in common stocks, you should do pretty well. But, I mean, listen, Mayweather never flies commercial. He's only flying private.
And why are we attempting to tease Floyd? Is Floyd Mayweather? Yes, he's broke. Of course he's broke. He's a boxer. Did they say he can't read? That's not to tease him. They say that he can't read. His best friend at the time said that he can't read, and he never did.
Okay, buckle up, because what we are about to unpack today is allegedly one of the most jaw-dropping financial storylines in all of sports history. And before we even get into it, I need you to pause whatever you are doing right now. Because this is not just a gossip moment. This is allegedly a full cinematic unraveling of a carefully constructed image that reportedly took decades to build and may be crumbling in real time. And we are talking about none other than Floyd "Money" Mayweather. Yet,
Beautiful house, my man. How many square feet is this?
A little bit over 20,000 square feet, 3 or 4 levels.
Money Mayweather. Seems appropriate that you would be living in Vegas.
My mentality is always about, working smarter, not harder.
I see that picture. Who is that?
And that's where it all started from.
That's you?
That's me. This picture is old school. I got the old school gloves on. And this is made of carpet, actually.
Yeah.
And I'm standing in a boxing ring in Grand Rapids, Michigan at Tawasi Boxing Club. That's where it all started from.
But you knew instantly you wanted to be a fighter.
That's all I knew. My whole life. That's all I knew.
What's your definition of to it?
Well, private jet, ends up.
that Floyd Mayweather, the man who literally renamed himself after wealth, the man who used to fan himself with $100 bills on Instagram like it was a personality trait, the man who built an entire brand around the idea that he was untouchable, unbothered, and unbelievably rich. Except according to a Bombshell Business Insider report that is now sending shockwaves across the internet, fans and financial commentators are now asking whether the Money nickname,
One of like the OG jewelers. Like these are the, one of the jewelers that supplies like all the other jewelers, right? And he told me that Mayweather is broke.
I keep hearing this.
Yeah. I don't know if it's true.
I don't think so.
But he said that based on his spending and so forth, this is why these fights are happening now. That he needs to make some money back. That the spending has outpaced the money that,
he's been retired.
Right.
And he's still, flying to Monaco with a bad bitch, buying up half the store.
Right. Always flying private.
Yeah.
Does he have his own plane?
Yeah, he does.
He does, right. So that's massively expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you own it, the upkeep is huge. Right. Plus all the properties, all the property tax. Yeah, I mean, if you're not properly invested, because there was he was saying that he bought this building in the Diamond District, but people are saying that's, the same jeweler said that's actually not true.
Right.
So there's been a lot of stuff like that. Listen, I hope not, man, but I remember I interviewed Tyson. He lost like $300 million.
was always more of a marketing move than a reflection of reality. And before you say anything, Stephen A. Smith, yes, the Stephen A. Smith, already got on camera and said what a lot of people were apparently thinking. And his reaction alone is enough to make you put your phone down and stare at the ceiling for a moment. Because when Stephen A. looks genuinely shaken, you know something allegedly serious is allegedly happening.
Floyd Mayweather's got 22 million people following him. But is it any good? Like I don't know what it does with him. Like, does it do business with him? Does it transact with him? I know guys with big followings, but there's nothing happens as a result of the following.
So you on the is Floyd rich or is Floyd broke? Which side?
I don't know. I think Floyd ends up broke.
Ends up broke.
If he doesn't, it's not a Floyd thing. It's not a Floyd thing. It's an asset thing. If you don't end up in assets, you end up broke.
Yeah.
So because you can't keep fighting forever.
So if Floyd was watching right now, what would you say to him?
Floyd, you need to spend as much time working on your investments as you do in Neiman Marcus or the Gucci store, the Fendi store.
He could just invest with you, though, right?
He could invest to Cardone Capital. You know, I mean, I would ensure that he's a billionaire.
Wow.
Like you cannot become a billionaire without it.
Now here's where it starts to get truly wild, because the report allegedly suggests that Floyd Mayweather, one of the highest paid athletes in the history of professional boxing, a man who reportedly earned over $1 billion across his career, may currently be sitting under approximately $500 million in debt. And I know, you just reread that sentence. And yes, you read it correctly. $500 million, allegedly.
Actually said, I want to let everybody know this. He said in 2021, every property I have is paid for. My jet paid for. All my cars are paid for. I own $1 billion buildings. Everything is no longer paid for. They're exposing him if you don't know. Mayweather took out millions of dollars in mortgages on his homes last year. Business Insider review shows he also faced a string of lawsuits and liens that say he owes money for a Mercedes Maybach G-Wagon. Wait, they make Maybach G-Wagons? Jet fuel, which obviously is for his jet, and garbage collection at his Las Vegas mansion. So it looks like they've pulled all his debt. At the same time, he's trumpeted a major entry into the big league. Commercialized real estate. Starting in the fall of 2024, Mayweather talked about spending blitz on commercial property in New York through his newly formed.
And this is not just some random online speculation. This is reportedly sourced reporting that is now being discussed by major media figures, and the details are where this story goes from surprising to absolutely cinematic. Because apparently the spending habits that Mayweather reportedly showcased publicly were not just lavish, they were allegedly unsustainable on a level that financial experts are reportedly calling staggering. We are talking
to them and had apparently not much of it in liquidity, not much that he could actually spend, or at least that's what his representatives said. His representatives wrote back to the IRS, it's a true story, you guys can look it up, that he could not make the payment. He couldn't do it. He didn't have $22 million liquid in cash. For a guy that had made, up until that point, let's just say $900 million, because he made $300 million fighting Conor, he didn't have $22 million sitting around in a bank for all that cash he's flexing, for all those cars, for all the places. And again, I'm not saying that multi-millionaires and billionaires have $1 billion liquid, but you couldn't have found 22 mil. So his representative said, wait, we're going to have this fight. And then he'll
private jets, fleets of luxury vehicles, jewelry collections that reportedly rival museum exhibits, and a lifestyle that allegedly never slowed down even after the fight purses reportedly stopped coming in at the same pace. And this is where the first major twist hits, because you would assume that someone with Mayweather's reported earnings would have quietly tucked away enough to never worry. Right? Wrong. Because according to
I'm separated now. You know, I don't think there's no boxer in history that has accomplished what I've accomplished. Not bragging or boasting, just speaking the truth. I take my hat off to a lot of legendary champions, you know, that paved the way for me to be where I'm at in the sport of boxing. But that was their era, and this is my era. Had tremendous career. And we got young fighters that's on the rise, that's under our banner. The ultimate goal is to find the next Floyd Mayweather.
Reports there are allegedly unpaid bills on a Mercedes Maybach G-Wagon, outstanding jet fuel invoices, and this is the part that reportedly made even seasoned financial journalists do a double take. Allegedly unpaid garbage collection bills at his Las Vegas mansion. Garbage collection. At a mansion, allegedly. And the irony of a man reportedly nicknamed Money allegedly not paying for trash pickup.
No, that isn't broke. What a ridiculous question. But it's the fact that they're attempting to tease him. I mean, first off, they're asking the question. Look, I've told you until I'm blue in the face. The numbers that you hear in boxing simply aren't true. Floyd made $1 billion. No, he didn't. Floyd and Conor made $500 million. No, they didn't. Of course they didn't. Nobody's ever confirmed that. Literally nobody. It's the same thing with boxing pay-per-view. Whatever boxing pay-per-view is the biggest boxing pay-per-view of all time, it's just whoever put out the press release and lied more than the person before them. These have never been confirmed by leadership of a publicly traded company. who is the one that supplies the pay-per-view. It is illegal for them to lie. You have never heard Time Warner. You have never heard Cox. You never heard DirecTV. You have never heard...
Is the kind of detail that feels like it was written by a screenwriter, not a reporter. But wait, because it gets deeper. Because apparently the real estate portfolio that Mayweather was allegedly publicly boasting about, including properties he reportedly claimed to own in Manhattan, is now under serious scrutiny.
Initiated a massive $340 million lawsuit against Showtime Networks and former executive Steven Espinoza. So he's trying to get some bread right now.
The estimate is that he made over $1.2 billion over the course of his career in just earnings from fights.
Yeah. I think a question, though, that you should also ask outside of like how much has he made is how much has he spent, you know? Because I would say he's fully capable of spending close to $1 billion in the last 25 years.
You say that, but I not to turn into the movie Brewster's Millions from the 1980s. It's hard to spend that money. It really is hard to spend that much money and end up in a situation where you have to fight at 49 because you're so used to a lifestyle that brings in giant amounts of money that the only way for you to make a giant amount of money is to do what he's
with reports suggesting his actual ownership stake in those deals may have been minimal to non-existent. And some of those properties are allegedly facing foreclosure proceedings, which means the empire that was allegedly being presented to the public may have reportedly been a much thinner structure than anyone was led to believe. Breaking
something that somehow will make money because people will still want to watch if Floyd Mayweather can lose, because that's where he made his $1.2 billion. He made it in us watching to see if he'd lose.
I don't even think, like, it's just... Celebrity boxing is so popular because we are obsessed with celebrity culture, and this is the rare reality show in which we can see people fight, you know? Like, oh, wouldn't it be all...
Because now the IRS is entering the chat, reportedly, because sources allegedly suggest that Mayweather reportedly struggled to pull together $22 million to settle a tax bill with the IRS, and had to reportedly rely on fight earnings to cover it, which raises the question that Stephen A. Smith was apparently bold enough to ask out loud if you were a
real estate conference with a session titled Real Estate Knockout, the Floyd Mayweather Strategy. One second. The Floyd Mayweather Strategy. The big talk doesn't always end in big deals, though. Business Insider found. Chat, they're exposing them. Mayweather's social media last year promoted an article that he reported that he made $100 million in his portfolio of a Manhattan luxury high-rise apartment towers owned by the Gold Partners. People with knowledge of this investment said Mayweather put a nominal sum late last year and did not invest further, and his initial equity in the deal was later absorbed by the Gold Partners, leaving him with no stake. The portfolio of the buildings was eventually spun off into publicly traded entity. In February, Mayweather also said he bought a portfolio in a rent-regulated apartment buildings in the Upper Manhattan for $402 million, declaring that all the buildings belong to me. I don't got no partners. Business Insider previously reported that there were no property records showing an outright
or allegedly worth $1 billion. Why is coming up with $22 million allegedly a challenge? And the answer, reportedly, according to financial analysts reacting online, is that allegedly a significant portion of the wealth that was being displayed publicly may have been tied up in illiquid assets, or worse, allegedly borrowed against.
You would think that your investments would continue to grow,
right?
As long as you keep your spending under wraps. Like right now, like I could retire right now. This could be my last interview ever,
right?
And with my investments, you know, I invested into a lot of great companies like Google and Amazon and Tesla over the years, and those companies have all grown and continue to grow, right? And I could actually borrow money against my stock portfolio without even...
And this is where the conspiracy thread reportedly starts to pull everything together, because suddenly the pattern of comeback fights, the exhibition matches, the willingness to reportedly step back into the ring well into his 40s, stops looking like passion and starts allegedly looking like financial necessity. Because according to this report, Mayweather may allegedly need to keep fighting, not because he loves the sport, but because the ring may reportedly be one of the only places left generating the kind of cash flow allegedly needed to keep this operation.
Through financial problems.
See, here's the part about actually losing your money when you're on that level and you're, kind of like flossing and showing up. Nobody gives a shit. Like there are people actually praying for you to be broke.
And then when you do go broke, that's what people are gonna say.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you should have invested better. Nobody's gonna care. Nobody's gonna give him any loans. So now, we might see Mayweather doing.
People will give us some loans.
Maybe.
Listen, he's cozying up to Israel. That's
but
not
the
an
thing
accident.
about it is, he had Mayweather Promotions.
Yeah.
And he was hosting a big, he had Javante Davis under his cars. And so that's
Yeah, but look what happened to Javante.
Right. So if you
Arrested.
can sustain that, you don't ever have to box again. But now has to take fights because when you floss like Mayweather, you can't go down.
Yeah.
You got to stay right there because people are gonna beat any kind of chinks in your armor if you're not wearing 3 or 4 big $1 million diamond.
Money. And then, just when you think you have absorbed the biggest twist, a $4 million lawsuit from a Miami jeweler reportedly surfaces, alleging that Mayweather owes for unpaid luxury watches and diamonds. And at this point in the story, you are reportedly watching a man who built a brand entirely around the concept of money, allegedly being chased for bills on multiple continents.
So, a Miami jeweler that goes by the name of Leonard Sulamanov is like, give me my money. Give me my money. So he is hitting Floyd Mayweather with a huge lawsuit. Y'all, we're talking about a cool $4 million for some luxurious watches and diamonds that Floyd supposedly forgot to pay for. Y'all know he forget to cash checks. So maybe, you know what I'm saying? He might have forgot to pay for it for real. So even y'all.
Now, Stephen A. Smith, to his credit, reportedly used this moment to go deeper than just the numbers because he brought up something that a lot of people had reportedly forgotten, which is the deliberate rebranding from Pretty Boy Floyd to Money Mayweather. And reportedly that shift was not just cosmetic, it was allegedly a complete psychological and commercial repositioning that helped Mayweather reportedly dominate both inside the ring and in the business of boxing, because the money persona allegedly gave him leverage in negotiations, allegedly made promoters reportedly pay him more.
Mayweather, not Pretty Boy Floyd. You see, in boxing, usually people have like an alter ego, the character they play. He had to change his character from Pretty Boy Floyd to Money because Pretty Boy Floyd had a problem. You need to listen. Now, the problem was he was tiny, but more than that, his hands were tiny. Now, I don't know much about JB, but I know he ain't big. And them boy got the same frame. That's twinning him. Now, let me be more specific. It wasn't his hands so much that were tiny. It's that they were brittle. It's believed to be genetic because his dad broke his hand and his uncle broke his hand. Yeah, they were all boxers and them boys could throw hands. That does not mean he had it easy. You see, his dad sold a bunch of stuff and his mom did a bunch of stuff. So to escape his traumatic childhood, all he would do is train day in and day out. He said, I have to take care of my mom. But he trained so much because it's all he knew.
Allegedly made fans reportedly buy pay-per-view events just to see if someone could shut him up. But here's the twist that reportedly nobody saw coming when that rebrand happened. The persona allegedly required constant maintenance, constant display, constant proof of concept, and allegedly that pressure to reportedly keep performing wealth may have reportedly driven spending decisions that were, according to this report, allegedly catastrophic in the long run. And now here is where we need to slow down for exactly 1 second, because everything you have heard so far reportedly adds up to a portrait of someone who allegedly built one of the greatest financial illusions in sports entertainment history. And the question that is now reportedly echoing across every comment section, every sports talk show, and every financial podcast is whether Floyd Mayweather was always allegedly playing a character, whether money was always reportedly more of a role than a reality, whether the private jets and the cash fanning and the jewelry drops were allegedly all part of a show that reportedly cost more to produce than it ever earned back. And final twist, the one that reportedly reframes this entire story from top to bottom. What if, allegedly, the greatest defensive boxer of all time reportedly used that same skill set off the canvas? What if the ability to allegedly make opponents miss, to reportedly make the public see something that was not quite there, to allegedly slip punches and control perception, was not just a boxing style but allegedly an entire life philosophy? And what if reportedly the real fight was never in the ring, but was always allegedly about maintaining an image against the incoming truth? And that reportedly is what allegedly makes this story not just a gossip moment, but allegedly one of the most fascinating psychological and financial case studies in celebrity history. So the question we are leaving you with today is this: Was Floyd Mayweather allegedly the greatest financial illusionist of his generation? Or is there a chapter of the story that reportedly has not been told yet? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now because this conversation is allegedly just getting started.